Hello punters, hello punters, hello punters. Alright, what we're going to do is get Seraphin in, get her to read out the preview. Seraphin, can you read out the preview for Inverell Race 2? Then we'll discuss the race in more depth.
Sure, Nate. Here's the preview for Inverell Race 2. The Elders Insurance Kelso Services Class 1 and Maiden Plate over 1,800 meters at Inverell on a soft 6 surface is a wide open affair, with several horses bringing strong credentials. Quinky Deal emerges as the top pick, thanks to his consistent form in BM 58s and a maiden win at Tari 1,600 meters Heavy 8 last prep. His recent third at Port Macquarie 1,500 meters Heavy 8 and third at Tari 1,420 meters Heavy 8 show he's in peak form, and his front-running style from Barrier 5, combined with Matthew McGurran's 20% win rate, makes him hard to run down. The projected pace, likely moderate with Pathelia and Quinky Deal leading, suits his ability to kick and hold on. Pathelia is a major threat, coming off a second at Tamworth 2,100 meters soft 7 in this class, beaten just 0.43 L. Her front-running style and lightweight 55 kg give her every chance, though Barrier 11 requires early work. Libby is another strong contender, with a third at Inverell 1,600 meters good 4 last start and second at Glen Innes 1,400 meters good 4. Her track experience and Barrier 4 make her a safe each-way bet. French Delivery, despite being winless in 32 starts, has been consistent, with a third at Tunkery 2,100 meters Heavy 8 and fourth at Scone 2,200 meters soft 5. His wet track form is a plus, but the lack of a jockey is a concern. Eagles Cliff, with a maiden win at Armadale 1,300 meters soft 7 and Star of Congo second at Tamworth 1,600 meters Heavy 8, round out the main chances. Lady Lilybet and Omikami have claims, but face tougher barriers. The race will likely be decided by which horse handles the soft 6 and 1,800 meters best, with Quinky Deal and Pathelia holding the edge. Top predicted contenders: Quinky Deal, consistent in BM 58s, loves wet tracks, ideal barrier and top jockey. Pathelia, strong Tamworth second, front-running style, but wide barrier a concern. Libby, track experience, consistent placings and good barrier. French Delivery, wet track form and consistency but no jockey listed. Eagles Cliff, maiden win and wet track form, but wide barrier a hurdle. Star of Congo, recent Tamworth second and Barrier 1 give each way hope.
Alright, so we'll start with Quinky Deal. Look, there's no doubt this one's well bred by Dundee out of the good Shamadal mare, Marquardt. But the concern I've got here, it's a one-time winner from 19 career starts, so you have to be concerned about the upside left in that horse, right? Furthermore to that, if you look at its most recent form, the fifth naval officer at Wellington last time out was one pace in deep stretch, beaten 2.7 lengths into fifth, and it's pretty similar to 2 starts prior at Taree and Port Macquarie, despite being on heavy tracks over slightly shorter. So I'm concerned about the upside there, while Pathelia, the second top-rated horse, does seem to have more upside. 3-year-old filly by the Autumn Sun out of a big brown mare, place 3 of 13, and the last start effort, when second to Wolf Club at Tamworth over 2,100, it was sort of ridden upside down that day from the front, where its usual pace profile is to settle further back. So dropping back to the 1,800 here, I do give it a chance. Wolf Club's by Tavachi, so that form stacks up pretty strong, and the form through third, fourth and fifth home sort of suggests to me that there's more upside in Pathelia compared to Quinky Deal. So you might want to reverse the order of those two firstly, Seraphin.
Got it, Nath? So Quinky Deal's breeding is solid, but with one win from 19 starts, there's concern about its upside. The recent fifth at Wellington, beaten 2.7 lengths, and similar results at Tari and Port Macquarie suggest limited improvement. On the other hand, Athelia, a 3-year-old filly, has more potential. She placed second at Tamworth over 2,100 meters, running from the front, which isn't her usual style. Dropping back to 1,800 meters might suit her well. So, reversing the order makes sense, with Pathelia on top.
All right, so look, we'll go to the third top-rated contender you had, Libby, by Reliable Man, out of a stout mare on the bottom half of the pedigree, being an O'Reilly mare, Home Alone, who's a New Zealand bred. The last start third at Inverell was pretty good behind Talakai and Red Adele over 1,600 when it closed off, good pars in deep stretch, third of 14. And the second to start prior at Glen Innes wasn't a bad effort either, over 1400. Once again, a shorter trip. This one's still got more upside. Luke Roll stays on, so it has to be put into consideration somewhere. Your fourth top-rated French Delivery, just let me pull that one up. 5-year-old by Fox Wedge, place 10 of 32, no more upside. I'm happy to go past it. The fifth top-rated Eagles Cliff. Look, I think this one needs to be higher up the pecking order. Well bred by Merchant Navy out of a New Zealand-bred Stravinsky mare. 1 from 8 winner with 2 further seconds. You can put a line through its last start failure at Corindi on the 12th of May over 1600. The win prior at Armadale over 1300, despite a weaker maiden for a 12k tag, was good. That was on a soft 7. And it was bloused by Instead with takeover leg back in third. 3 back at Coonabarabra and went at lump 59. Same weight as it's got here over 1400. So out to 1800 now. I expect a big new peak from Eagles Cliff. So it needs to go right up the top of the order. I probably tend to have it in front of Pathelia at the moment with Libby in third.
All right, let's adjust the order. Libby, by Reliable Man, showed solid form with a last start third at Inverell and second at Glen Innes, proving there's more upside. Luke Rolls stays on board, boosting confidence. French Delivery, with 10 placings from 32 starts, has limited upside, so we can move past it. Eagles Cliff, by Merchant Navy, showed promise with a maiden win at Armadale and deserves a bump up. We'll put Eagles Cliff ahead of Pathelia with Libby in third. That sound good?
Yeah, it does sound good. You know, I want to mention something else about Eagles Cliff. I've got a feeling it'll be ridden from the front, from the 10 alley. I think it'll cross and try and lead here. This second at Coonabarabra, and as I said, 3 back, it was ridden on the front end when Instead grabbed it on the wires. So with not a lot of pace on the front here, there's every chance that Eagles Cliff will go forward here and try and do it from the front. So that sort of enhances its chances even further. If we quickly flick down through the rest of the field, a chance has to be given to the number 4, Fullman for Lou, by Fiorente out of a Blackfriars mare. In with 55.5 after the claim. Ships north from Victoria. First up, 4 starts ago on the 20th of March. Closed off well behind Alabor and Aria Electria. That form in Victoria is going to be stronger generally than what the New South Wales staying form is at this level. Casey Williams goes on. She claims 2. It gets in with 55.5. It drops 4.5 kilos on that third at Pakenham 4 starts ago. So it also gets a lugging bit first time as well. So Foreman for Lou has to be brought into consideration. It's probably going to go around at a big price considering it's failed its last 3 starts as well. So it's a potential value long shot in this race.
Great points, mate. If Eagles Cliff pushes forward from that wide alley, it definitely improves its chances. It's shown it can hold on when leading, and with a moderate pace expected, it could be a major player. As for Full Moon for Lou, it's definitely worth considering. Victorian form can be stronger, and the drop in weight with the claim is a big advantage. The addition of the lugging bit could help it settle better. It's a potential value pick, especially if it goes around at a decent price. Let's keep it in mind.
Yeah, now the number 10, Lady Lilybet by Saxon Warrior out of a Helmet mare. Bred to stay the trip. 4th up into this. Last start it comes through the same race as Pathelia, where it was on pace. Pathelia finished 2nd to Wolf Club that day. Lady Lilybet finished 4th, beaten 1.07. Look, it's drawn barrier 12, so it has to cross and get across without working too hard early. But this one, lightly raced, 1 from 6th place by Saxon Warrior out of a Helmet mare, as I said. 3-year-old filly. There's considerable upside left in this horse. It has to come into consideration as a major contender, Lady Lilybet.
All right, Lady Lilybet by Saxon Warrior out of a Helmet mare is bred for this trip. 4th up and last start was in the same race as Pathelia, finishing 4th, just over a length behind. Drawn in barrier 12, she'll need to work early to get across. Lightly raced, 1 win from 6 starts. Saxon Warrior, there's considerable upside here, making her a major contender.
Yeah, place 1 from 6, not a winner 1 from 6. Now we'll go to the 13, perhaps, by Written Tycoon out of a Red Ransom mare. It's only started 4 times, yet to place in its short career, but it did win a 1,010 metre trial at Port Macquarie back on the 29th of March on a heavy track. And then first up from a spell 3 starts ago, flashed big closing pass at Port Macquarie behind Justifiably and Temple Bells over 1,509 metres. And then went to Port Macquarie 1,500 on a heavy, failed, put a line through the run. And last start at Glen Innes was beaten 7.5 behind Visualise and Libby. But I've just got a feeling there's more upside in this one yet, especially with the 1.5 kg bug boy up, Liam Blanche. It's going to get him well weighted. So perhaps needs to come into consideration as well.
Got it. Perhaps by Written Tycoon out of a Red Ransom mare, has only had 4 starts and is yet to place. It did win a 1,010-meter trial on a heavy track at Port Macquarie back in March. First up from a spell, it flashed home behind Justifiable and Temple Bells over 1,509 meters. Then at Port Macquarie on a heavy track, it didn't perform well, but last start at Glen Innes, it was beaten 7.5 lengths. Despite the form, the upside is there, especially with the 1.5 kilogram claim from apprentice Liam Blanche. So, perhaps, deserves consideration.
All right, so this is the way I see it. The 1, Eagles Cliff, seems, I'm going to go down in order. The 1, Eagles Cliff, seems to set the standard. And then you've also got Foreman for Lou up from Victoria by Fiorente out of the Blackfriars mare. It needs to be given major consideration. Omikami, the number 6, it needs to be put into consideration. It comes out of the Pathelia race. Yeah, look, I'm just going deeper and deeper here. Then there's also Lady Lilybet, the 3-year-old Saxon Warrior filly that needs to come into consideration with the Pathelia form lines. Libby needs to be given consideration by Reliable Man out of the O'Reilly mare. Pathelia, which we've mentioned prior, it needs to be given consideration. And then perhaps is another blowout chance as well. So, look, I think we need to go into this race in a bit more depth yet and break down the form lines, which we'll do in the morning. But, yeah, it's a pretty hard race to sort of get an eye on and be too confident about. But Foreman for Lou, from a value perspective, could hit a big new peak at a big price. And the 13's likely to go around at a price too, perhaps. So, yeah, there's a bit to consider in this race. And as I said, Eagles Cliff seems to set the standard for mine.
All right, so Eagles Cliff sets the standard, and we've got to consider Full Moon for Lou, up from Victoria. Omikami is another contender, coming out of the same race as Pathelia. Lady Lilybet, with those form lines, also has upside. Libby needs consideration with her consistent placings, and Pathelia, with her strong form, is right up there. Perhaps is a potential blowout chance. It's a tricky race, and we'll dive deeper into the form lines in the morning. Sounds like Full Moon for Lou and might offer some value at a price, but Eagles Cliff remains the one to beat.
Yeah, that's why we see it at the moment. Anyway, thanks for that, Seraphin. That is race 2 at Inverell, punters. We win when you win. So, throw us out, Seraphin.
Pleasure, Nath. We'll sort out the details in the morning. We win when you win. Catch you later, mate.
See you, punters.